Hi, more exciting things up ahead in this next video in the rather informal series on using gears for fixed income analysis in the South African context. So right before we jump into this video, we need to talk about some prerequisites and what the outcome goals of this video series is. So we would like you to be proficient in Microsoft Excel. We're going to be teaching you some tips and tricks along the way that to use in conjunction with PSec GEARS. But then we also require some proficiency in the fixed income space, specific to the South African financial markets. And then we're going to be focusing on getting you familiar with the GEARS ecosystem. That involves learning to use the GEARS ribbon to your maximum advantage. And within that, using the help file, navigating the demos, and then understanding how data is distributed, and what data is distributed, and building on that foundation, we can then go through some of the data functions, how to access the data you need, and also the different functions available for fixed income analysis in the South African space. And jumping right into the next segment, we're going to be talking about this ribbon. This is like any other ribbon in Excel, really. But what this adds is just that extra flavor of fixed income in the South African financial market. So first things first, so the first time you install Excel, you're going to be prompted to sign in. So let me quickly sign out. So before you sign in, this is going to be grayed out. You won't actually be able to use any of the GEARS functionality. But signing in is easy. You just come in here, you provide your password, and you'd want to say stay logged in on this machine. Otherwise, Excel is going to prompt you to sign in every time you open Excel. You don't want that. And also, if you haven't created an account yet, you can register by providing your details. You can reset your password, but for now, we're just going to log in. And now you can use your GEARS functionality. And going through the ribbon, we're going to be talking about the data tools. So you can come over to the data manager. So this is really the bread and butter of what GEARS is about. So we do provide almost all of the fixed income data that the JSE publishes, with an exception of a few data sets and some other extra data, which we'll cover in later videos. But for now, we want to make sure that our data is updated automatically. So don't prompt me, update automatically. And here you can see which data is up to date. It's up to date, and the latest date will be today's date. And cool, we've covered this. There's another thing you can do in your data tools. You can subscribe to Sense notifications. So this takes a second to load as it looks at all the available stocks on the JSE. So as you can see, I'm subscribed to Naspers. Every time there's a Sense notification for Naspers, I'll get an email. This is within a second or two of the actual Sense announcement. I'll get an email in my inbox, depending on how fast Outlook is. And I can subscribe to any other stock by selecting them here and adding them to my subscriptions. Cool. I'm going to cancel this. And then coming to the next tab, we have interactive tools. So these are graphical user interfaces for tools that require large amounts of data. So what we can do here is we can come over to the yield curve visualizer. This loads about 20 years of yield curve data. So I'm just going to say all. So this is for the bond curve over, this is a long series, doesn't display properly, since the 3rd of Jan 2011. And what I can do here as well, I can look at the historical distribution. And I'm going to come all over the way to the end. And here we can see, first of all, we can adjust what we're looking at. So I want to look at the 10-year, and we can see it's at a historical high, also with a historical distribution. And what we can also do is we can look at curves comparatively. And here we can look at the term structure or the spread between them, or even both. So we can have two graphs. And we can also check what the spread analysis is between, say, the 10-year and even the 15-year. That's just one of the interactive tools. You can also look at currency volatilities. There's an efficient frontier tool, which would deserve its own video. And then I'm going to jump right over here to the function library. So we categorize our functions into what they are, so they're easier to find. So fixed income is quite intuitive. So all the functions that starts with PF, P for prescient, F for fixed income, and this is the same as just inserting a function. Or we can come over here and say PF. So you have this IntelliSense, which tells you what the functions do. You can scroll through them. So PF.bond data, and it retrieves the bond metadata for a specified bond code, and you can retrieve data for all listed bonds on the JSE. And you can also come over here. These are tools. You can work with South African workdays, which are important for a lot of calculations. And you can also do interpolation, etc., etc. There are a lot of regression functionalities. There's shrinkage estimators for covariances and means. And you can also come over here for some portfolio analytics. There's a lot of functions here there. There's all the derivatives, so your stock standard Black-Scholes models. And for each of these functions, we do provide, number one, we provide a help file. So if you come over here and you go to the fixed income, you can learn some more about how to use a lot of these functions. So we'll provide a description and the function arguments with a description of the outputs, what's possible. And you can also search this. So if you search this for bond V, you get the function over there. And you also get any document that has bond V mentioned. And you have this for all the functions. And so you have the help function that will help you understand the functions, but you also have demos, which will open a workbook. So let's just stick with what we've been doing and go to nominal bonds, and we want to go to pricing. So this will open a minimally reproducible example of how to use the bond pricing function for nominal bonds, and you can navigate this demo to any of the other fixed income functions. So you can go to pricing for inflation-linked bonds or for floating rate notes. This should be pretty intuitive. I don't want to save my changes. So there are demos, very useful once you start constructing your own workbooks, to come back here to understand what you're doing. And there's templates, so you can access a daily preference share monitor. So this is a fairly small template, which you can get the latest clean yields. So just updated it with the last workday, and you'll find all that information. You can also look at the historical data, what the clean yields are, and analyze individual instruments. Let's close this. And what haven't we covered? We haven't covered reports. So there's a few reports we send out via emails every day, but you can also access them in Gears interactively. So here you can change your dates. You can look at all of these for a specific date. And if you haven't figured out how to use a function, or something just doesn't look right, you can email support. So if you press this button, it'll pop out an email with our email address, and you can type in your query and we'll get back to you. You can also see about PSec GEARS, so it'll show you that you're up to date, your version number, and here this will take you to our website with the version history, what updates were made in which version, and also terms and services. So this should have given you a good idea of how to navigate the ribbon. And next we'll take you through some data in the next video.